How's it going? Welcome to the not so wonderful world of Fallout. Few games can capture the sheer scale of destruction such as this, but it also shows that things will survive and thrive in the new and dangerous conditions, games being one of them. And what better way to face the radiation than with a few drinks and one of the most popular bar games around? Can you beat Fallout 4 with only a pool cue? Now, before we can begin, I must make a character worthy of such bar-hopping shenanigans. Someone who would both frequent, play, win, and get beaten in the back alleys. And after adjusting the facial bones in ways that should never contort, I have made another fine specimen who should be in a zoo and not have access to weaponry. With a face only a blind mother could love, fitting name is needed, and for that I settled on Jack Brain Hemorrhage. I select my stats, being all in on strength, endurance, and agility, and with my character made, I can go through the rules of the challenge. The goal is to complete the main story and all of its quests. The only restrictions to this is that I can only equip a pull queue, so no armor, other weapons, or even clothes. I gotta go in dry. No followers allowed. I cannot willingly use any followers. Some missions will have forced followers, which I can't stop, so they will be allowed, but they will be specified. I cannot mod the pull queue in any way. I gotta run with a stock pull queue. Difficulty is set to very hard. I cannot save, so no manual saving, quick saving, or save scumming. And with all that out the way and seeing my son get kidnapped, I leave the pod and start grabbing all bits of trash and run for the rad roaches, and die in the process. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Next time, I decide to lead the rad roaches through the shock trap and give myself the breathing room needed to grab the Observer's Pip-Boy and exit the vault. Getting a breath of fresh British food, or radiation, I can't tell, and head back home and speak to Codsworth. We search the town before I'm told that I need to head to Concord to find some more answers, and in my case, hopefully a pull queue. I managed to find one on an already fallen raider. Well, that makes things a lot easier. I let Preston deal with the raiders outside the museum, while I look inside the nearby buildings and fighting some mole rats, then head in. Now, the funny thing about the challenge is that I have one of the worst melee weapons in the game, and the enemies have guns, and lasers, and bombs. And being on very hard mode means that when I take healing items, it takes a while for me to actually gain the health from it. Which means that I die a lot in this first mission. How much, you ask? Well, I lost count at 6. Don't judge, it's from the head injury, okay? However, after only about 20 minutes of trying, I'm able to clear the raiders and talk to Preston. I need to collect a fusion core from behind a locked door. I don't have any bobby pins to pick the lock, so I need to hack the computer terminal. But with the intelligence of a particularly stupid rock, I have no ability to hack. What does this mean? If I don't get lucky, I'm not getting in. But it seems that I am lucky this time around and it only takes about 10 minutes. Fusion core in hand, I head to the roof of the museum and find some power armor. You're meant to use this and a minigun to fight the rest of the raiders, but not for me. I triggered the deathclaw spawn point and let him kill all of the raiders. So this leaves the deathclaw with the majority of its health and me with a long stick to kill it. I don't think I need to say how poorly this went. My first idea was to sneak up on it and hit it, because I could always get in at least one hit before running away and seeking again. This had mild success, but if I was able to get away in that first burst of sprinting, then it was over. Even taking Psycho didn't help. So instead, I decided to get a little cheesy and bait the Deathclaw near a small building I can't enter, and swinging at it before retreating. It's a lengthy process, but only 4 hours in, I'm able to defeat the Deathclaw. Yep, you heard that right. This one fight alone took about 4 hours to do, and it's only the second quest. Wanting to keep up the pace, I head straight to Diamond City, dying to some landmines, then meet Piper outside the city. I help her get in, and I head off to see the PI of the city, Nick Valentine. It would seem that he's been kidnapped, and now it's my job to rescue him. I make my way over to Park Street Station and find Skinny Malone's gang. The gang decides that I should be euthanized with bullets, so now I choose to run. However, no matter how fast I run, a fully automatic assault weapon seems to be faster. But I have no other choice, so I'm gonna smack my head against the wall until it's powder. It works to some extent, finding little hideaway spots to recover and plan my next move. My ability to succeed is based off entirely of their ability to miss, so I get some varied results. But I make it just a little further every time. I make it to the vault door, and dodge and weave the gunfire until I make it in. Take out some of the triggermen inside, but it's a very close engagement. When I continue to sneak through the vault, melee confrontation is avoided at all costs, but sometimes I can't get around it. Eventually, I find Nick, and I need to hack the console to get in. Yay. After the rescue, I now need to escort us out of this place. Luckily, Nick can distract while I sneak up on them, eventually making it to Skinny Malone. With a charisma score of 1, there is no way I can pass the skill check needed to avoid this whole fight. So I just start the engagement with a kill. Managed to get away before Valentine is able to clean up Malone. With all that done, Nick says he owes me, so he's going to help me find my son. And the first step is to find the believed kidnapper by the name of Kellogg. Turns out he actually has a house in Diamond City that I gotta break into. So I steal the key to the house off the mayor and enter. Everything seems normal enough, but with a quick push of the button underneath the desk, I find the Goon Cave, rob it, and head out in search of Kellogg. You need to take Dogmeat with you for this quest, so he can lead you to him. With a puppy and a dream, I set out on my mission. It's quite the trek, and I run into a few problems, but I make it to my destination without too many scrapes. Fort Hagen. A few scrapes turns into many scrapes after getting shot by some of the auto turrets outside. The inside of this building is full of second-generation synths, which are horrifying decayed robots of the Institute, and will give me nightmares for many years. And it just so happens that this place is crawling with them. And forget attacking, they have way too much health, and with laser weapons, I'm screwed. The only way this is going to work is if I manage to sneak past all of them. Oh boy, this is going to take a while. It takes many attempts of seeing what's the best pathway, and I managed to sneak way past where I'm actually meant to go, but hey, at least I managed to make my way back and follow the correct path. And after realizing how many synths there actually are on the right path, I'm able to avoid being goopified by the lasers and continue my sneaking adventure, spending way too long hacking some of the terminals. And I managed to make it to Kellogg. The bastard. I find a good hiding place and use it to my advantage. The strategy, sneak and hit Kellogg, then run away in my little cubbyhole. It takes about 15 minutes to defeat him. And I get his sick pistol and his brain chip. I leave and make my way back to Nick and Piper. I'm told I can use the chip to possibly search his memories, but for that I'm going to need a very special doctor in the very special community of Good Neighbor. And sneak all the way there, talk to Dr. Amari, who takes me on a magical trip, reliving Kellogg's memories. Child form, young form, adult form, and one depressing show later, I know where to look for my son. In these memories, I find out that he is being kept by an organization called the Institute, and the only way in is to teleport there. Not easy in a wasteland, so I'm going to need some more help. And what better help is there than someone who has worked for the Institute? A doctor by the name of Virgil is said to have escaped the Institute and has even managed to escape recapture, and is rumored to be hiding in the glowing sea, also known as the most hostile and irradiated part of the map. The glowing sea is in the bottom left corner of the map. This game makes you do a lot of traveling, but there are some issues. I wasn't joking about the radiation. Amari said I would need so much radiation protection from armor, clothes, and even more rad meds than I could carry. Turns out she's a terrible doctor because with 2 rad eggs and being completely naked is enough to make it out of the map boundary. Like, why would they even try and scare me like that? Like, the glowing sea was so hyped up on Yelp, but there was not even any water. This place is the biggest scam in the whole game. I've never felt so safe walking around. There is so little life and so much vision. This place is amazing. And somehow missing the giant deathclaw outside the cave, I find Virgil. It turns out he's a super mutant, with massive green guy. Anyway, he tells me the only way into the Institute is to teleport there. And as it currently stands, I can't do that. Thank you, game, for rephrasing this. But Virgil tells me a way that I might be able to start in the process, which involves me hunting down and killing a Courser. A Courser is the most advanced microwave man from the Institute, with the power to summon even more synths to him. Armed with powerful laser weapons, strong armor, and honestly way too much health, I essentially need to kill a smart car. This is gonna need some prep. I head to Diamond City and steal everything of use, and prep as many aids and chems as I can. And then do something a little silly. I head to Sanctuary, where Preston and the rest of his company is. One person in particular of this company, Mama Chems, also known as Mama Murphy, has a very special power called the Sight, which lets her see into the future. Now, while this sounds like a strip mall scam, Mama Chems can actually do this, and she's going to give me a very important vision. But she can't do it for free. Just like her name implies, she will only do it for chems. Now sounding even more like a strip mall scam, I give Mama Murphy some drug medication. She starts having a pretty bad trip side effects. But in her rambling, she says something very important. It's almost like she said the deactivation code for the courser I'm hunting. Yes, that's right. If you give Mama Murphy some of the most common chems in the game, she will let you instantly kill the courser on this mission. Now, some may call this a cowardly move, and may refer to me as scared or weak, and in some dialects, a bitch. And to this I say, of course I am. Are you kidding me? Did you not hear my description of this thing? It's the Terminator with backup, and I'm a frail old man with a long stick. I would have my very existence wiped from memory very quickly. But this is only one part of the problem solved. To kill the courser, I need to find the courser. This is actually very simple, as the courser is a big walking toaster, and I can tune into its frequency and follow the most scary sounding heart monitor ever, and find myself at Green Tech Genetics, home of some gunners. However, on entry, I'm met with a guy sleeping on the job, and sounds of commotion upstairs. Also, I should mention that for some reason my game has stopped recording audio at this point. So that's awesome, that's fucking great, sweet, love that. When I make my way up, however, I'm met with a quick death. This is like Fort Hagen, except for the fact that you can't really sneak at all, and it's full of turrets and assault rifles. This is bad. I have to use a stealth boy to make myself invisible for a short time, but that only gets me so far. After a few tries, I come up with a new strategy. Pop some chems and start running through this whole place before finding a nice corner to regret my life choices in. I managed to actually make it through all the obstacles and make a final mad dash to the elevator at the top, and I confront the courser. I say the deactivation code, and he falls over, defeated. I take the synth's relay and leave this place. I go back to Diamond City and unload a few things before going to find the only people who could decode such a chip, the railroad. The railroad are hard to find, but I can follow the Freedom Trail and sneak past all of the ghouls, put in the code I'm still not sure how you're meant to know without the internet, and find the secret group. I get the chip decoded and make my way back to Preston. Out of all factions to complete, I decided on the Minutemen, as I thought they would be the easiest. Oh, how wrong I was. I need to help him before he can help me, and he says I need to go to the nearby POI, find the raider leader, and kill him. Seems easy enough. It's a pretty quick 1-hour job, and I need to use another stealth boy. And I return to talk to Sturgis about making a teleporter into the Institute. Turns out I have all the high-grade components needed for it, so that's perfect. Turns out I have all the high-grade components needed to make it, so I do just that. Make a bunch of generators, power it up, and teleport into the Institute. And meet Father, the 60-year-old man, head of the Institute, who also happens to be my lost son. Yeah, turns out I was frozen for a little longer than he was. Wow, that's so funny that he's called Father because he's older than us now, huh? Good job, Bethesda, gold star. But I say that I'll look around the Institute, search for the special serum for Virgil, take to the heads of the Institute, and then leave to finish the Minutemen questline. Now, the whole questline of the Minutemen is nothing special or story strong, so most of it is just getting settlements. So I'm going to go past and only talk about the interesting stuff that happens. The first one being taking the castle. Pretty easy, just set up a firing line and lead all of the Mirelurks out until the Queen comes. Now, this fight is normally really hard, especially with the pool cue. But for some reason, Preston was able to find a freedom thrower and burnt the entire place down. I didn't even know he could do this. But hey, saves me the trouble and so much time. Next on the list is making some defenses for the castle, and an old head of the Minutemen shows up. Enter the basement, find the sergeant, a giant death robot with miniguns. But he can still be trained around the pillar, and he's able to die. Make some artillery that I can never use, because I need to make a grenade. Make some auto turrets around the castle again. How many turrets? Get the last few settlements, one having a legendary super mutant, which I need to sneak kill. And now I need to make the Institute hate me, because I did technically agree to join them. So I just kill my son and stealth boy out. Don't judge me, alright? It's the easiest way of doing it. Then I need to defend the castle, which is easy from the turrets and advanced weapons that I gave my colonists. And now it's on to the final quest. Whew! That was a lot. But the whole thing only took about 12 hours to do, so it's a pretty good pace. I was so tilted, but now it's time to attack the Institute directly. So that's what I do. But I can't just teleport back in. No. I need to take an alternative route in. Turns out that I can actually take a water intake pipe into the place. And with the Aquaboy perk, I don't even take radiation damage from the water. I sneak and find my way through the dark construction site, and eventually make it to the teleporter terminal. I load a program given to me by Sturgis and teleport the Minutemen into the Institute. Preston gives me a nuclear device to put onto the Institute's reactor to blow up the whole place. Now, it's time for war. We start by following some forgotten pathways, fighting waves of synths and turrets with Minutemen constantly going down, and me in some cases too. But we manage to break into the main laboratories. Everything is on lockdown, and filled with more advanced synths and coursers. I try fighting them, but not even taking every performance-enhancing drug can save me. So I use a stealth boy and hide and wait for Preston and the Minutemen to deal with it while I make myself dinner. Yeah, I actually generally just got up and made myself dinner while this is going on. I do this a few times, jumping in once it's safe to do so. I hack Father's computer terminal and lift the lockdown, making my way to the reactor. I send in Preston and the Minutemen in front as I supervise from behind two doors and forget my game was running while I actually went and did other stuff. So when I came back, everything was already dead. Okay, cool. No, final fight, I guess. Alright, that's cool. I embrace the nuclear reactor in my tidy whiteys and place the bomb. We hightail it out of the Institute labs and teleport out. Now, with a detonation button in front of me, and the end of the war, I find no better moment than to take all of my chems and get addicted to every single one before detonation. And with the final cutscene playing, the signal of the end of the final quest, and my journey coming to an end, I have proven that you can beat Fallout 4 with only a pull queue. Thank you all so much for watching, and sorry for the long wait on this one. It took a while, easily being my longest challenge, and my first ever playthrough of Fallout. It was a good time. If you enjoyed this, please help me out by subscribing, liking, and commenting, and check out my other stuff on the channel. If you have anything you'd like to see, let me know down below. This has been Boot Gobbo, and I'll see you in the next one.